What BS are you dealing with at work right now? Lately, whenever the mother of one of my students pisses off the father, they divorced 4 months ago, he will send all 3 of their kids in mismatched clothes with shirts that have some variation of "I love my dad" or "daddy's kid." I have not seen the same shirt twice and believe mom throws the shirts out and dad just keeps buying more. I'm sorry, but that's hilariously petty. I do feel sad for the kids though. It must be disheartening to be used that way between parents. Being scheduled on basically every day I was supposed to have off. I'm not even supposed to be here today. I manage all the tools, parts, and materials for a small electrical company. We have a ton of little fittings, couplings, and such that are very small and have multiple parts. We recently let one of our journeymen go, and I'm in the process of clearing out his van. Turns out he was hoarding tens of thousands of fittings in his van, all mixed together with absolutely no organization. To top it off, at least 60% of them were completely disassembled before being just chucked into drawers, boxes, and bags along with mixed bolts, nuts, fasteners, etc. So it is now my job to take these collections of assorted hardware and dump them out, separate them, and reassemble as many as I can before restocking them in my already overflowing shop. Technicians are hoarders. I have a vendor who gives me the same answer every day that I email him. "Let me check and get back to you." His shipment has slipped by over 2 months at this point and it's driving me nuts. He's doing the same thing to other people in my office on other projects. He's on a quick list to be blacklisted, but unfortunately, the clients love his stuff. Furniture. He sells furniture, not drugs. Unless they're the owner, call their boss. Whenever this happens to me, I call their boss and just say, "I haven't been able to get a hold of so and so, can you help me with this?" Vendor suppliers subcontractors work for you, not the other way around. A third party keeps insisting that an individual worked for my company. They did not. We have searched everywhere. We have punched in every variation of their name, birthday, social security number into our system. Dude didn't work here. And well, this other woman says he did isn't an argument. And then BSP, ETA. As much as I appreciate all the replies, this is not my first rodeo as an attorney, and I wouldn't be complaining if this had a simple fix like tell them to frick off or stop replying. I am sorry, so and so doesn't work here, and even if they did, we are not in the habit of giving out information on employees. My boss asked if I would be working tomorrow afternoon. When I said yes, he ominously replied, "Interesting." Turns out my boss completely forgot even saying this to me. He was wondering if I would be working in the afternoon because he's bringing his daughter in and knew I would want to see her. I'm a 23-year-old woman working a college job. It's my boss's birthday. Not a lot of folks respect her. I'm new to the department and was asked by Don to collect money on Friday to get her flowers. He was going to bake a cake and bring it in. He was sick yesterday so didn't come to work. I collected a measly $19 from others. Awkward af because no one even likes her. Topped it up with my own 10 to get a decent bunch of flowers. Bought yesterday evening and brought in this AM. Don is in and says, "I couldn't find the money you collected. Do you have it?" I said I used it yesterday to buy the flowers. "Wasn't that the plan?" He replies with an attitude. Well, number. I ask why it matters and he says, "Well, I couldn't bake the cake because I was sick, so I don't know what we're going to do now if the money's used up. We can't get a cake now." Another girl nicely chimes in that she will run out and grab a cake and don't worry Don, it's all fine. Don's a snippy guy so I don't bother asking him how I was to know he's too ridiculous to go get a cake himself. Others are running around asking me if I've seen the money because apparently Don's making it well known that I was supposed to collect money but no one has seen the envelope. Obviously, I took it yesterday. Then I have to explain that I used all the money so I look stupid. Keep throwing in that I was doing exactly as was asked of me, but Jesus Christ, Don, would it kill you to communicate your change of plans to people? I hate when someone collects money and you feel obligated to contribute. Bar manager and 20% of the staff quit. Owner hasn't hired anyone. It's been 3 months. No one can take unexpected days off or call in sick and inventory is at an all-time low. Except the kegs. So many kegs. We keep running out of frickin' everything. I and others have offered to help over the summer and nothing has come of it. The restaurant is expanding and we need more employees, but my boss is too focused on having us dust during construction, replacing glassware with crystal, and setting up public accessible training courses to bother with actual management. Oh, and communication is non-existent, so I regularly show up to work and have no idea where crap is or what the new procedures are. Sounds like you need to go talk to the bartender circle of your city and find a new place where you'll be appreciated. Trying to move this frick butt 40 feet fiberglass ladder on my own since everyone called in. Been there, done that. Crappy but game to play. I work with a woman who CCs her boss on all emails. Her boss follows up on all of the emails 5-10 minutes later. They looks like this. Woman: hey Ganglebert, we're starting this new thing, so can you send us X, Y and Z when you have a chance? Thanks. Her boss: 5 minutes later. Ganglebert, as per woman's initial request, we need these things to move forward. In our previous meeting on the 4th of May, at 2 PM you indicated you could send these to us. I ask you to please send these along ASAP as our initiative depends on good information. Please confirm receipt and indicate when we can expect these documents. I handed in my notice at work and my boss suddenly stopped talking to me. Lol. I handed in mine because they treat me like a punching bag and now they are being nice and chill about everything like they are my best friend. Should have just been that way to begin with, you idiots. Girlfriend took the time off in advance to see a best friend she hasn't seen in 2 years for literally 1 day. Work is currently telling her that they're scheduling a mandatory employee meeting everyone needs to go to or else you get fired. Keep in mind there is barely anything important that ever gets announced at these. I was offered a job at another location. I told my boss about it and my current company offered me a raise to stay. I took it. It's been 2 months and I haven't seen the raise in my paycheck yet. Update. I emailed my boss and asked for an update. They assumed I understood that the raise would begin at our new fiscal year, which starts the 1st of July. So it will be in my next paycheck. Jeff cuts his fingernails every freaking day in his office. How do they grow so fast? Is he a werewolf? Also, he scratches at every last tiny freaking bit out of his yogurt container. It's so loud and he does it for like 3 minutes straight. I feel like I can hear this post perfectly. Boss doesn't understand how time works. I'm at an internship I was extremely excited to have and learn from. I haven't done any work the past 2 weeks : sounds like you're an engineering student. 2 of my co-workers were promoted out of the department and no one was hired to replace them, leaving me to do the work of 3 people, minimum. Upon expressing that my own hours weren't enough time to get the work done, even with overtime, I was told, you have to get it done. If you can't get it done, it means we'll have to find someone else who will. Robot. What you're looking for is a robot willing to work 24/7 for a barely living wage. Got it. Glad to know the company values my mental health. Yeah, resume dust off time. If they're not even listening, it's never gonna change. I do sound for cover band at a hotel that feels like they're better than or at least equal to an act that sells out stadiums. Every night I deal with 5-60+ year old musicians with expectations that would make Mariah Carey say that's too freaking much. I used to play in an indie band. I felt so bad for the sound guys because the crappy musicians in the bands would blame everything on him. The monitors were too quiet. I couldn't hear myself, the sound guy sucked. It was muddied, he turned me down in the mix. Nah, you guys are just freaking bad. And if you had shown up on time for your sound check, I bet it would have been way better. Client had a full 10 months to review a demo site that we had up. They made a couple of nitpicks and claimed they were happy with it. The site went into staging a few weeks ago and they immediately came up with a list of 50+ issues with it and demand it be fixed or they won't renew the contract. It's a bit complicated. I think part of the issue is that the upper management didn't look at the site until it was in staging and they are the ones that noticed the problems. We are releasing patches on a nearly daily basis, which is keeping them happy. Just today that said that all the major roadblocks are out of the way and the site can go to production. For some reason I thought my contract was up end of August. It isn't. It's up at the beginning of August. I talked to management and it was a total surprise to them. And now they are scrambling to possibly get me a salaried position like they promised, but also saying IDK. The budget might not let us. So I don't know if I'll have a job by the end of the month, or if they'll manage to create something before I leave. Either way, I'm looking for jobs. It sucks not having job security. I'm an editor communications specialist for an online college. They hired me on as an intern last summer, talking about how they were going to offer me a full-time job when I graduated. By the end of my internship, they said they would look into getting me a part-time, temporary position. I, needing money and figuring it was a good resume builder, stayed there during my final semester, working once a week as a student worker. Got a call late November, early December about how the lead editor, my supervisor, was stepping down to part-time and they needed someone to fill the gap. Since I applied to 35 plus jobs and none panned out, I took it and got a significant raise from my previous wage. I argued with them for a while about why I couldn't get hired and they gave me some BS about how they don't have time to hire people right now, while I wondered why they couldn't have just set the contract for 3 months and gotten going in the meantime, because the need wasn't going away. But now, we got to the point that I outlined in my post. I'm out of work by the end of the month, but they're holding me over a barrel RN and it's frustrating. I don't even know if I should look for another job at this point, but they're well aware that they're on thin ice with me. My experience with them has been bait and switch the whole time I've been with them. I'll probably take it, assuming they offer it, because everything I find online is more work for less money. Plus, this is a state job, which is cushy for someone my age, 22. What I'm making now is really decent for an English major, and for some reason the publishing industry thinks they can abuse graduates via unpaid internships instead of paying them a decent wage. So I'm not as interested in getting involved with it as I used to be, especially now that I'm making money. I just wish I got paid like everyone else for having 4th of July off after dragging our editing backlog out of the weeds. Hopefully it pans out. I've been staying with my parents because I didn't want to get locked in a lease without knowing I have a job here, so I have a ton of money saved up in case it doesn't. By the end of this month, I should know something. Terror for the educational corporate systems bureaucracy. I am on my 2-week notice right now, so I'm being treated like crap and having a bunch of extra work piled on. I won't do crap. Assistant forwarded me a call from a friend colleague of mine. She got one syllable of my friend's name wrong, which wasn't a big deal. The friend and I are working on a big deal, so she's called multiple times since then. My assistant has got her name wrong every time, and despite me correcting her each time, the corruptions are getting further from the mark. Happened again yesterday. The worst butchering of the name yet. I wanted to yell at her, but I took a breath and I said her name is XX. When you consistently say her name wrong, it sounds like you're insulting her. I know you're not trying to insult her, but she is a personal friend and she brings us a lot of business, so please do try to get it right. I don't think I could have handled that better, but she flipped out at me, then told a bunch of the other staff about what an a-hole I am. Ugh. I worked for a supervisor who deliberately mispronounced my co-worker's name so that it sounded like a slur. I took it up the ladder multiple times and management never did a thing. Pee me off. Co-worker was a fantastic human being who worked their butt off. Supervisor was a shitstin. Some dumbass AR clerk who can't match up numbers, so they're threatening to put us on hold until we pay for crap we already paid for. Budget issues. We as a management team just waived our annual increase to make sure there was enough for all of our employees. As we're giving them their annual reviews, raises and new salary info, they don't know we're not getting anything this year. We as a management team just waived our annual increase to make sure there was enough for all of our employees. Respect. Management is too cheap to pay for another worker, so the responsibility is passed to a different person every night. It goes against the policy and procedures of the place, but they don't care. That I hate my job but like the money I make. But is good pay worth the depression? Just saw my director of revenue on Facebook while I'm finishing her month-end report that we should have finished by the 5th of July. I decided frick around Reddit. The sole developer of an application that electrical engineers for some of the biggest companies, Apple, Samsung, Toshiba, etc. around the world rely on is on a month-long adventure in Africa. I am currently the only person maintaining the application and I was given access to the repository just 5 days before the creator became unavailable. My gluten allergy did me dirty. Boss just told me that she's actually going to take the time I spent in my bathroom out of my paycheck. Thank God this is my last week. That is highly illegal in most states. Like sue for thousands of dollars and get your boss fired levels of illegal. My last day is Friday, so they made me write a guide on how to do my job because no one else knows how. We're supposed to do more upselling, but it's very hard to do in our department when customers just want to pretty much get in and get out. Hopefully I'm not fired for it. At an old job we were actually told by middle management they expected us to sell a phone contract to people coming to buy printer ink. I said I'd do it if he showed me he could do it. That topic was dropped quickly. My robot is not doing what I designed him to do and is making my work a lot harder. The irony. The robot is supposed to take data from a banking core system and make different tasks. Can't say more than this cause I love my job and don't want to get fired. And no, people are not getting fired because of the robot. The company is ran by people that really care about its employees and they hardly ever let go of people. We take tasks that people really hate or take too long. I've seen the end of this movie too many times. Run, bro. Being acquired by a much bigger company. Disruption with a capital D. Ouch, that happened to us at our last company. Turns out they just wanted our contracts and ended up laying everyone off and closing the office. Sorry to hear about that. I have a good point, but I'm dismissed with, well, that's not going to happen. It can. We just have to. I don't want to work 70 hours a week. How dare I want a life-work balance? I was genuinely surprised when a new manager started and said the phrase work-life balance. I wanted to ask him if that was just a meaningless buzzword or if he actually understood the meaning. Surely no one at this company has any freaking idea what work-life balance is. Moved from public sector to private. It's bonkers here. I'm a database developer and I regret leaving my old one. Going to beg them to take me back. Management cutting everyone's hours and then getting upset when we make mistakes from the heavier workload. For the first time in years, I'm actually dealing with no balls at all. The team I'm working with is great, management is great, and even the customers seem to be in a good mood lately. I can only wait for the inevitable shitstorm that's coming. Maxim 17. The longer everything goes according to plan, the bigger the impending disaster. Have fun waiting for your doom. I'm trying to find a new job that pays more and no one freaking wants me. I understand your struggle. I finish my work a little early nearly every day. I get bored and frustrated because there is nothing to really do that'll take up 4+ hours of my time. Boss says, read a book, draw, knit, go online and read, go for some basketball. Another time he proposed to me working just 3 days a week. And was then like, leave early if you have nothing to do. Beforehand he said I couldn't leave early, wouldn't give me 4 10-hour work days instead of 5 8-hour ones. Makes quips about how my doodles are expensive, hahaha, even though he said I should fill time up just in case the phones ring. I don't even pick up the phone. I left 15 minutes early and left some tasks to complete tomorrow, because if I don't I won't have an II thing to do. One of them was procuring a form, and I asked the person who needed it done if I could take care of it first thing tomorrow morning. They said yes. I was sternly talked to about how it should be done as soon as it's received, even though I was given the okay to complete it tomorrow. Ugh. So many double standards. No HR. ND, I'm so frustrated. We have an older man in the office who makes a lot of typos and number errors on reports. Like, 7/10 reports have issues. My supervisor had the idea that I would act as middleman to check for mistakes and the like, and send him my revised versions instead. It's been working out well so far, except the last week. I've realized that because I'm double checking the reports, that now I am never allowed to make a mistake. With my filtering, we rarely see reports kicked back for errors. But, on the rare occasion that I also miss something, I'm very new to this industry, so a lot of the time I don't even really understand what the report is even for, and management knew this upon hiring me. It's now completely my fault, and the older man isn't even spoken to anymore. Instead of the boss management telling this man to get his crap together, they've just created a new job for me to do so he can continue to do things incorrectly and get paid for it. Feels like I've been given the responsibility of scapegoat. Astronomer here. I submitted my PhD, and it turns out part of the process in the country where this is happening, the Netherlands, is I have to pay to get over 100 copies of my thesis. The department actually recommends 200-300 because you'll want to give one to everyone in the department and send them to luminaries in your field and just save them in case someone wants one in the future. Meanwhile, everyone not from the Netherlands will stare at you funny if you say this and say they maybe printed out one copy for their parents and another for their advisor because, you know, we have the internet now. Which I 100% agree with. This mainly seems like a great way to kill trees. Unfortunately for the trees though, I've realized getting your doctorate is a their ball, their bat, their rule situation. And 400 years of tradition doesn't budge easily, so I'm just gonna have to print the dang things. Suru stupid. Print 200 pages with the title, abstract and a QR code linking to a website with the whole thing. Print 4 or 5 copies to have handout. A new GM who has no prior experience managing a restaurant because she was a friend of the owner. Hey, you know that job that takes all day to complete? You do? Yep, here's 6 more. Wait, hang on, oh, also you know that job that takes like 3 guys all day to do? UHH. Yeah, can you do that 3 times a day from now on too? Your phone's ringing BTW. Being rewarded for being good at my job by being given more work to do with no compensation for the extra work. I'm a 28-year-old dog groomer working out of a pet supply store. I had a client whose dog I'd been grooming for a couple of years. He was a little weird, Vietnam vet, obsessed with Aerosmith, but seemed harmless. He would come into my salon every other day to chat, but never talked about much more than his dog or Aerosmith. Then one day, several months back, he came in to chat, except this time he was telling me his whole life story, holding me hostage in the way that only clients can. And then, mid-story, mid-sentence, he looks into my eyes and says, "I love you, truly." I immediately recoil, shocked, and he says, "I'm sorry, I don't know why I said that," and continues talking as if he didn't just profess his love for me. He had an appointment a couple of days later, during which he tried to lure me out of the salon to watch a "Don't Wanna Miss a Thing" video on his phone with him. It was around this time that I decided I was no longer comfortable having him as a client. I was told by management that he was banned from the salon, but not the store, which I was willing to live with. He's tried unsuccessfully to make grooming appointments several times to my knowledge, but today I came in and looked at a book, and guess who has an appointment tomorrow morning? Vietnam, not World War II. I hope you take that crap to whoever you need to as fast as you can. It was probably a mistake by someone out of the loop, but for your sake, and possibly the sake of others, this needs to be nipped in the bud now. Like this video and this good boy will play you a nice song. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.